Hey there, and welcome to the British Accent Podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Emily. Lovely to have you with us today. We're talking about something that really makes a difference when you're learning English, and that's building a habit that actually sticks. One that feels natural, not forced.
Yeah, and I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. They get excited, they start strong, and then after a few days or weeks, life gets in the way and the habit disappears.
Exactly. And the problem isn't always motivation, it's often the way the habit was set up in the first place. If your English practice feels like a huge task, you're not going to look forward to it. It needs to fit into your life, not interrupt it.
That's why I always say, start small, ridiculously small. If you try to go from zero to studying 2 hours a day, it's going to feel like too much. But 5 minutes with your coffee in the morning? That's manageable.
Right? And the more natural it feels, the more likely you are to keep going. Think about the things you already do every day: brushing your teeth, checking your phone, walking to work. Those are moments where English can slip in quietly.
Yeah, like listening to a short podcast on the way to the shop. Or reading a sentence or two in English while waiting for the kettle to boil. It doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to be regular.
And what helps is having triggers, little things that remind you it's time to practice. Like, after I finish breakfast, I open my English app. Or, while I'm washing dishes, I listen to a YouTube video in English. You don't even have to think about it, it becomes automatic.
I love that. It's about pairing your habit with something that's already part of your day. That's what makes it stick, not willpower, but rhythm.
And I think it's important to make it feel enjoyable. If your English routine feels like punishment, you won't stick with it. So choose activities you actually like, whether that's watching interviews, reading about your hobbies, or speaking to yourself while cooking.
Totally. Learning doesn't always have to look like studying. If you're engaging with English in ways that feel fun or interesting to you, that's still learning. In fact, it's the kind of learning that lasts.
And you don't need a perfect plan. You just need a plan, something that feels flexible, something you can return to, even on busy or tired days.
Yeah, because the real key to a natural habit is forgiveness. Not every day will be perfect. But if you skip a day, you don't give up, you just come back the next day, no drama, no guilt.
It's like brushing your teeth. If you miss a night, you don't say, "That's it. I'm done with hygiene forever." You just brush the next morning. That's how habits work. They bend, but they don't break, if you stay kind to yourself.
And that mindset really matters, doesn't it? Because so many learners feel guilty when they miss a day, and that guilt makes them stop completely. But if you treat your habit like something flexible, it becomes much easier to keep going.
Exactly. And something else to think about: your habit doesn't always have to look the same every day. Some days, you might have 20 minutes to read, other days just 3 minutes to review a few phrases. That's still a habit. That's still progress.
That's so important. The key isn't to be perfect. It's to keep showing up in whatever way you can. Even just whispering a few sentences in English while making toast, that's practice. That counts.
And I think a big part of making your learning habit feel natural is to stop seeing it as a task and start seeing it as part of who you are. You're not doing English, you're living in it. You're becoming someone who thinks in English, even if it's just a little.
Yeah, that's when it starts to shift. When English isn't something separate from your life, but something that flows through it, like your favorite music, or your morning routine.
And speaking of music, even singing along to songs you like can become part of your habit. It doesn't have to be serious all the time. In fact, the more playful it is, the more natural it'll feel, and the more likely you'll stick with it.
Exactly. You want your learning to feel like a part of your lifestyle, not like school. If it feels like something you're supposed to do, you'll fight it. But if it feels like something that fits into your world, it just becomes second nature.
And let's be honest, building any habit takes time. But the goal isn't to create something perfect on day one. It's to start small, stay consistent, and let it evolve as you go.
So even if you're starting with just 5 minutes today, that's brilliant. That's a brick. And if you lay another brick tomorrow, and another the day after, you'll build something solid without even realizing.
And the best part is, the more natural it feels, the less effort it takes. You won't even need reminders after a while. It'll just become something you do, like making tea, or putting on socks in the morning.
That's when you know it's working. Not when it feels like a massive effort, but when it slides into your day so smoothly you barely notice. But the results? You'll feel those, trust me.
You really will. One day, you'll be having a conversation and think, wait, I didn't translate that in my head. Or you'll hear something on the radio and realize, I understood that without subtitles. Those are the little breakthroughs that come from daily contact with the language.
And it's such a good feeling when that happens. Because it shows you, the habit's doing its job, even when it doesn't feel dramatic. You're picking things up through consistency, not pressure.
Exactly. And the more you notice those moments, the more motivated you feel to keep going. It becomes less about chasing some far-off goal, and more about enjoying the journey you're already on.
And I think we forget sometimes, learning a language is a long game. It's not about sprinting, it's about pacing yourself. If your habit feels gentle and manageable, you are far more likely to stick with it in the long run.
Totally. And that's why I love the idea of making your habit fit you. Not what you see on social media, not what your textbook says, but what actually fits your life, your energy, your routine.
Like if you're a night owl, maybe your practice time is 10 minutes before bed. Or if your mornings are chaotic, maybe it's a quick listen to a podcast on your lunch break. There's no one-size-fits-all here.
And your routine can change, too. It's okay if it looks different from week to week. What matters is that you keep coming back to it, in a way that feels kind and realistic.
That's the word, isn't it? Kind. A kind routine is one that works with your life, not against it. It gives you room to grow without making you feel guilty when things get busy.
And I think when you build that kind of habit, one that feels like it belongs to you, you stop forcing English into your day, and instead, you start carrying it with you naturally.
It becomes part of the background. Part of your world. Something that's just there, quietly helping you grow, little by little.
And over time, that quiet growth becomes real confidence. Because you're not just learning English anymore, you're living with it.
Yeah, and that's when it stops feeling like something separate. You don't have to switch your brain into English mode, it just runs in the background, like music you've grown used to.
I really like that image, background music. It's gentle, it's constant, and it becomes familiar. That's what a natural habit does. It creates a sense of ease with the language.
And I think ease is more important than speed. People often say, I want to learn fast, but fast without ease just leads to stress. If it feels smooth, even if it's slow, that's usually a better sign.
Exactly. And natural habits help you build that ease. When your routine isn't forced or exhausting, you're more relaxed. And a relaxed brain learns better. It remembers more, absorbs more, and responds more confidently.
So the question isn't, how much should I practice? It's, how could I make this part of my life? If the answer is short and simple, you're probably on the right track.
Yeah, like listening to a podcast while walking, reading an English tweet in the morning, or speaking a few sentences to yourself while doing the laundry. Those small moments create a rhythm that doesn't feel like work.
And it's okay if your habit feels invisible. Sometimes you won't notice the progress, and that's normal. But if you keep going, you'll look back one day and think, wow, I actually can do this now.
It's like watering a plant. You don't see it growing every second, but one day it blooms, quietly, steadily, naturally.
And that's what a good habit does. It supports you quietly, without shouting. It helps you grow without pressure. It's not about doing more, it's about doing enough, consistently.
So if your English practice feels small, that's okay. If it feels simple, that's great. As long as it feels natural, it's doing what it's meant to do.
And you don't need to chase the perfect routine. Sometimes people get stuck thinking, I need the best app, or I should be doing exactly what that YouTuber does. But the truth is, the best routine is the one you actually do.
Yes, exactly. It's better to have a simple routine that you enjoy and stick with, than a perfect one that you keep quitting after 3 days. Consistency always wins in the long run.
And honestly, when it comes to language learning, routine beats intensity every time. I've seen learners who studied for 10 minutes a day improve far more than someone who did 2 hours once a week and gave up.
Because it's not just about learning words or grammar. It's about developing a relationship with the language. And relationships grow with time, with care, with regular connection, not with pressure.
And not with guilt either. There's no need to beat yourself up if you miss a day. It doesn't undo your progress. You just pick up where you left off. One skipped day doesn't break a habit, giving up does.
Right? A natural habit has room for real life, for tired days, busy days, slow days. It adjusts with you, instead of making you feel like a failure when things aren't perfect.
And you don't need motivation every day. That's another myth. What you need is a structure that supports you even when you're not feeling inspired, something light enough that you can still do it, even when you're not in the mood.
It's like having a soft routine that catches you. You might not always feel excited, but you know what to do, and it doesn't take too much energy to get started. That's how real habits are built.
And once you've got that rhythm going, you can build on it. Maybe your 5 minutes turns into 10. Maybe one podcast a week becomes one every day. But it grows because it started easy, not because you pushed yourself too hard.
It's a bit like stretching. You don't start with the splits. You start with something gentle, something that feels good, and over time, you become more flexible. Same with language. Start soft, and let it grow.
Starting soft doesn't mean you're lazy. It means you're smart. You're setting yourself up to succeed, not burn out.
And that's the heart of it, really. A habit that feels natural is one that lasts. One that feels kind, flexible, and truly part of your day, not something you have to force.
So whatever your English practice looks like, big or small, quiet or structured, if it feels like it fits into your life, then you're on the right path.
Thanks so much for spending time with us today. We hope this gave you a bit of clarity, a bit of calm, and a reminder that you're already doing more than you think.
You're building something real, one gentle step at a time. And we're proud to be part of that journey with you.
Take care of yourself, and we'll speak to you again soon.
See you next time.